Before the anxiety you had from not knowing what the future holds, or from being knee deep in bills on top of the depression that hits harder than that one punch Naruto threw against Sasuke, there was a time in your life where things were much simpler. A time where buying a pair of Heelys was a bigger fashion statement than buying your first pair of J's. A moment in your life where you prioritized yourself and your happiness more than anything else without even realizing it. When happiness was based off of watching new episodes of Edd N Eddy on Friday nights, to then wake up on Saturday mornings to watch Crypto the Super Dog while eating a bowl of cereal that you probably just saw a commercial on a few seconds ago. You see, channels like Disney and Nickelodeon were staples on cable TV in the early 2000s, but there was one that stood out from the rest. One channel that had the same aura as your cool uncle who you probably only saw once a year, which is way more than I still saw my dad.
What? Bro, what are you talking about, man?
Ladies and gentlemen, I'm talking about Cartoon Network.
Acknowledge me.
And in this video, we'll embark on a journey like no other as we go back in time to discuss the greatest era in Cartoon Network history, the 2000s. Cartoon Network was founded by media mogul Ted Turner after acquiring Hanna-Barbera Productions in 1991. The official channel was launched on October 1st, 1992, with the premise of being the first TV network to provide cartoons all day and night. And that was something that's never been done before, so it was important they had someone at the helm who shared the same vision as they did. And that was no one other than Betty Cohen. It was during this time they would air reruns of Hanna-Barbera classics like Scooby-Doo and the Flintstones. So this era of Cartoon Network felt the exact same way you would feel when your dad would drag you into Home Depot on the weekends as a kid. Dull. Luckily for me, I didn't have a dad. Then boom, the year is 1994 and Cartoon Network decided to switch up harder than that one friend you got who turns into the second coming of Dave Chappelle magically when there's a girl around the group.
The most diabolical haters this side of the Mississippi.
So with that being said, Betty Cohen wanted to usher in a new wave of characters and cartoons that carried originality and humor that would be interpreted well by the new generation of viewers watching. And that's where shows such as Courage the Cowardly Dog, Dexter's Laboratory, Johnny Bravo, and the Powerpuff Girls came into play. Now during the late 90s, Cartoon Network introduced a series that would pave the way for the 2000s, and a show that I personally believe is 10 times better than SpongeBob SquarePants, Edd N Eddy. Now feel free to assassinate my character, but I will stand on that belief just as much as I believe my dad got lost on his way home after grabbing some Homelander kryptonite. Edd N Eddy brought a sense of comedy and animation we had never seen before its initial release. You see, at the time, I moved around quite a bit, so although I still went to the same elementary as my friends, I always struggled with the feeling of loneliness as a kid because of how far I was from the neighborhood my school was located in. So it always felt like a part of my childhood was incomplete. But through watching episodes of Edd N Eddy and seeing them go on adventures around their cul-de-sac and figuring out how to make money as kids, and let alone how their dynamic worked, it felt like I was living my childhood through them. With Betty Cohen stepping down as president in order to pursue a different opportunity in the world of entertainment, Jim Samples would end up being the man that would catapult Cartoon Network to a level never seen before. Under his tenure, shows like The Grim Adventures of Billy and Mandy, Foster's Home for Imaginary Friends, and Samurai Jack were introduced to us as kids. And man, let me just say that we never knew how good we really had it. The beauty in a show like Samurai Jack was how experimental it was, and I'm not talking about the type you see on an episode of Euphoria.
I feel like we should do drugs. Hold up. Wait a minute.
I'm not talking about that type at all. Samurai Jack had a visual style we had never seen before. The colors used on backgrounds built an atmosphere that would embody this sudden change Jack would go on through a journey. In one episode, he could be fighting an army of robots to then be at a Diplo set with a pack of dogs that look like they know how to spell the word haberdashery. The crazy part is I didn't even know I could pronounce the word haberdashery. What's even crazier, I'm not even mentioning shows we sometimes forget about, like Camp Lazlo, Codename Kids Next Door, and Mucha Lucha. Cartoon Network became this oasis where we can be kids and discover what we like. You can go from watching an outlandish episode of Billy and Mandy, where a literal spider imprints on Billy thinking that's his father, like if it's something out of the Maury Show,
Bring out the
So then 30 minutes later, a new episode of Foster's Home for Imaginary Friends comes out, showing Wilt's story and how he ended up at Foster's because he ran away from his creator in a moment of shame because of a basketball game they lost. Although we were kids and had no concept of what life was, it felt like we learned valuable lessons through these shows while still maintaining our youth. Cartoon Network provided us with a perfect blend of innocent, witty humor while making sure to sprinkle in some serious and emotional moments along the way. It kind of felt like they were trying to keep the original generation of boys and girls who are now teenagers to still watch the product, while also making sure younger kids had something to enjoy as well. But Cartoon Network was still missing something the way I was missing a father figure in my life.
And I need you, and I miss you.
It was missing the edginess that consumed the 2000s, like Linkin Park and tap out t-shirts. And that is exactly where this show comes in. I don't care who you are, nobody can tell me that they did not want to be Robin after watching Teen Titans. His hairstyle to how smooth he looked throwing around those rated E for everybody hands, Robin was who I wanted my friends to think I was because I wanted to reach edgelord levels over 9,000.
Then something just snapped, something inside of me.
Cartoon Network didn't get enough appreciation for what it did for the superhero genre in the 2000s. We were getting Justice League and Teen Titans episodes on a weekly basis that were better than movies like Catwoman and Daredevil. It made me think a character like Beast Boy was on the same level as Batman in terms of popularity because of how much we saw him on TV as kids. Cartoon Network even decided to do their own twist on the superhero genre with a character that's become a part of every online anime and superhero death battle debate. Like Yugi pulling out Exodia in a moment of life or death, this trump card was the one character that your friend says can beat Goku with a smirk because he knows you might not know what to say.
Got him! Got him!
I'm talking about Ben 10. Ben 10 was the series I'd say helped in the transition of taking Cartoon Network out of the early 2000s and into the mid to late 2000s. It was the band-aid trying to cover the wounds of the network after finally putting the plug on long-running hit series like Teen Titans and Samurai Jack throughout the past years. Sadly, Jim Samples had to step down as president of Cartoon Network due to a controversial bomb scare as LED displays were placed around the city of Boston to promote Adult Swim series Aqua Teen Hunger Force. Officials were worried the promotional pieces might have been potential explosives, which in turn caused panic by the fire and police department, but it also led to massive criticism by media outlets and how the city reacted in mass panic to the promotional LED displays. It also led to me having to agree with the media on this one. I mean, after Googling what these displays even look like, it was hard for me to personally understand how you could think they were anything else but just some type of street art.
Bruh.
After Jim Samples left like my father did,
Where are you?
Stuart Snyder would be the person to try to continue Cartoon Network's momentum, and that led to shows like Chowder, The Misadventures of Flapjack, and Total Drama Island being made under his tenure in return. Now, don't get it twisted. This era of Cartoon Network was still enjoyable, but I just always felt like after the early 2000s, they were lacking the diversity they once had. We went from having something for everybody at every age of life to them feeling like they weren't pushing boundaries and setting standards higher for animated shows like they once did. And I honestly believe that has to do with Jim Samples stepping down as president of Cartoon Network, sadly. Yes, Stuart Snyder would have some success in shows like Star Wars The Clone Wars and cult classics like Generator Rex and The Secret Saturdays, but sadly they didn't get the opportunity shows in the past once had, which sucked because these were cartoons that I believe had potential to draw in users of all age demographics, which in turn could have helped Cartoon Network in the long run because man, where Cartoon Network is today is a shell of its once prestigious self, just like my mental health.
I am in pain. I am in severe pain.
But that's what makes nostalgia so powerful. It's one of those things that we've all felt at least once in our lives. It can be as inevitable as those late night bathroom sessions after eating a Chili's 3 for $10 deal. These nostalgic memories that we experience are also welcomed by feeling of melancholy, because you know you're never going to get them back, but that's why it's important to remember what made you happy before this thing called life even happened. Just the Cartoon Network bumpers that would air in between shows would make me happy because of how much of a vibe they were. I can't explain it, but I almost felt like when watching them, I wish I could hang out with them and capture the essence of what was on TV.
Something seemed weird to you guys. No.
As an awkward shy kid who liked the body double of Josh Nichols when I was 7, Cartoon Network helped me forget about all the bad things I felt about myself and just focus on what mattered, being a kid.